paperback and e-readers this March. John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant cover editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose this March. Yesterday, there was another tragic mass shooting here in the United States. And this mass shooting, which took place at the Molson Coors facility in Milwaukee, a 51-year-old man is alleged to have entered the Molson Coors facility after being terminated from his job earlier that day with a weapon and decided to murder 5 of his former co-workers. Now, the media is saying they do not understand what the motive for this man participating in this mass shooting could be, but when I take a critical examination of this mass shooting, it fits the pattern and profile I talked about in numerous other videos, and the pattern and profile I talked about in depth in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that this 51-year-old man was a man in crisis, and his motivation for possibly murdering 5 of his former co-workers could have been the fact that he felt like he had nothing to lose after he lost his job, and once he felt like he had nothing to lose, he decided to destroy the lives of all the other people around him before taking his own life. Because oftentimes, many of these mass shooters, when they wind up losing their jobs, this is the thing that makes them finally explode in the rage that these men have been simmering and boiling in for years, and then leads to them feeling like they have nothing to lose. And once they feel like they have nothing to lose, they then want to go out and destroy the entire world around them before they wind up taking their own lives. And this is a pattern and profile of behavior I have noticed with most of these mass shooters, in addition to many of these mass shooters coming primarily from single mother households, because almost 28 of 29 mass shooters in the United States have come primarily from single mother households. And because these men have received an upbringing in a single mother household, they wind up getting primarily female life skills. And because they get these female life skills, they don't know how to navigate the world the way a man is supposed to know how to navigate the world, because there are only certain life skills only a man can teach another man, and one of those is being able to navigate the workplace and being able to conflict resolve and problem resolve. And a lot of these beta males, because these men primarily come from female-headed households, they don't know how to do this, and this is why these men wind up getting in trouble in the workplace and having problems on the job. Now, I believe that this individual had to have multiple problems on the job, because for him to get terminated from a union job like Molson Coors, there had to be an extensive list of write-ups as related to his behavior. And I believe that that extensive list of write-ups, it will probably come out later on, and we will find out that this man was what I call a ticking time bomb for years, and then he just eventually wound up doing something so egregious that it led to him getting the eye of supervision, and supervision having to do nothing but terminate him, which led to this man triggering and then winding up exploding in a rage. Because oftentimes your beta males, they believe that they have a right to do whatever they want, because they've primarily been raised in these single mother households, and they believe that because their mother gives them a pass for their irresponsible, reckless, and egregious behaviors, they should get a pass in places like the workplace, and they don't have to submit to authority figures, especially male authority figures, because oftentimes when you have beta males in a workplace and they have to deal with male authority figures, they often have lots of problems, because ever since they grew up young in these female-headed households, they are only used to submitting to female authority figures, and they only learn how to respect female authority figures. And oftentimes it rubs them the wrong way when they have to deal with male authority figures, especially in a place like the Molson Coors facility. He was probably running into a lot of male authority figures, and he probably had an issue with these male authority figures, and that probably led to him getting so angry that he decided to again explode in this rage and go back to that facility to go back and murder those 5 former employees. And I believe that the 5 former employees were primarily either supervisors or co-workers that he was close to, because usually in these incidents, when they're workplace related, usually these beta males, they want to destroy the lives of the people who they believe destroyed their life, and they're doing this because this is their way of getting revenge on those individuals. And because these men believe that they have nothing to lose, they usually want to stick a middle finger up at the criminal justice system after they murder these individuals by taking their own life, and they believe that this is their way of getting justice because they believe that they're not getting any sort of recourse in the current system as related to the jobs disciplinary system or the American legal system. And because they believe, again, they have absolutely nothing to lose, they believe that this course of action is something constructive because they believe they are justified to do this because they feel that society is not giving them what they want, so they believe that they can take what they want because they have this firepower and it allows them to go out here and do this. Now, some people would say that this is the reason why we need stricter gun control laws, but when I look at this incident again, this has nothing to do with gun control. This is a issue as related to the way we are raising men here in America, and the reason why we are having so many mass shootings, it has nothing to do with gun control laws, because we have had mass shootings not only here in the United States, in states like Massachusetts, where they have strict gun control laws, but even in other countries, like Germany, where we recently had a mass shooting, which had the strictest gun control laws, but those gun control laws cannot stop a beta male, because what triggers a beta male to participate in a mass shooting is not a gun control law or a background check. It is the way he is raised. And most oftentimes, these men, because they are raised in a dysfunctional manner, they do not know how to conflict resolve, they do not know how to problem solve, and most importantly, they just do not know how to walk away. Now, a man who has primarily been raised in a household with a father, he will walk away after being terminated from a job, and what he will do is start making plans to move forward in his life by either going to search for another job or try to start working on trying to get some training so that he can go out here and get some new employment at another business. Unfortunately, your beta male, because he does not know how to navigate a course in the world, oftentimes he becomes emotionally attached to workplaces, emotionally attached to places where he's used to being, and because he feels like he has had his connection severed by people who he wants to blame for his problems, that's why he has a hard time walking away from a job where they have terminated him, because that's something that he doesn't want to deal with. And again, a lot of beta males, they have a hard time dealing with change, because a lot of beta males, oftentimes again, they like having a smooth world, a world with no conflicts, no problems, and no obstacles, and they would rather stay in a very difficult situation in a workplace because they are receiving stable employment and they're receiving stable money. And once you cut their money off, what happens is these men wind up getting extremely angry because they believe they can't find another job, they believe they can't find another employment opportunity, and then they want to go out here and destroy the world around them because they believe that another individual is responsible for their lives falling apart, and then they want to get revenge on that individual or group of individuals who they believe led to them losing their job. So these beta males, again, they are extremely dangerous in a workplace, and oftentimes they will appear to be extremely friendly, or sometimes they will be extremely distant. It depends on the behavior of the individual. And what makes it scary is no one knows what will set this beta male off or what damage this individual will do in a workplace. But all everybody needs to know is that this individual is a ticking time bomb, and all it takes is stepping on this landmine of an individual to wind up in a situation where you could possibly wind up losing your life or others, because these beta males, once they are set off, they participate in a spectrum of violent behaviors, and it can range anywhere from a screaming fit all the way up to a mass shooting like this one that took place in Milwaukee. And many people, again, they want to say that they don't really know what set this man off. But again, when I take a critical examination of this incident, I see yet another incident that fits right in line with the pattern and profile I have seen with other beta male mass shooters like Elliot Rodger, like your Stephen Paddock, like your Dylan Roof, and many others. And this pattern is something that most Americans and most people in the West don't want to acknowledge, because to acknowledge this pattern means confronting most American women about the way we raise boys here in society, and it means acknowledging that the socially engineered single mother household of the 1960s and the 1970s, which came about as a result of the welfare state and no-fault divorce, is a complete failure. And that's something that the wealthy don't want to acknowledge, because they make primarily most of their money in a consumer-based economy off of the women in Western societies. And to hold those women accountable is something nobody wants to do. And also changing the way we have our society run is something that they don't want to do. So they don't want to acknowledge the foundations of this man crisis, a crisis where we see more and more men participating in mass shootings. And what's even more troubling, mass shootings are starting to become so commonplace that people are taking it like it's an everyday thing, when it's not an everyday thing. It's not a normal thing, and we can stop these mass shootings or heavily decrease them by changing the way we raise boys here in this society and investing resources in men so that they can get the male life skills and survival skills that they need in order to navigate a course in the world. If we take those constructive solutions, we can decrease mass shootings and possibly save some lives here in America and the West, because it's just a very terrible thing for people to have to deal with the loss of their loved ones, all because some beta male doesn't know how to deal with life. And all we have to do, again, is make a small investment in changing the way we live today, and that can save millions of lives. But most people don't want to do that because they don't want their routines disrupted, especially a lot of women here in society. They don't want to be criticized on the way that they're raising their boys to become men. And the wealthy don't want to wind up changing the consumer-based economy, because having boys being raised in a two-parent household with a father means that they're going to make less money. But these are things that have to be done if we hope to raise healthy, functional males that grow up to become healthy, functional men. And this is something that America, again, doesn't want to do, because, again, to confront women and hold them accountable for the way boys have been raised over the last 50 years and then change the way we work here in America, that's disrupting the money for too many wealthy people. And that's why they don't want to deal with the real solutions, problems with related to this man crisis. What they want to do is talk about gun control laws when this has nothing to do with gun control. This has to do with a complete breakdown of the American family. And what's really sad is most people, most of the wealthy and some women, they would rather deal with more mass shootings than try to deal with the man crisis and hold them and take responsibility for the dysfunctional way we have raised and developed boys over the last 50 years to the point where they become toxic men, like this 51-year-old who thought his only solution for solving the problem as related to him losing his job was destroying the lives of 5 other people before taking his own life. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to learn more about men and the reasons why they participate in violence like this and why so many men's lives are falling apart, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats, Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available for the first time on Google Play, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are falling apart in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy on Google Play today.